That sounds good. Okay. Well, thank you for having me. Just VMSC in general, and Brian, thank you for inviting the Academic Success Center here to talk. Today, obviously, we're talking about finals game plan. So I'm here to present to you our workshop, Create Your Finals Game Plan. It's really all about kind of the planning, the organization, prioritization, when it all comes to finals, right? Finals is a lot. There's a lot going on, whether it's projects, exams, papers. And so hopefully some of the resources that I give you today and what we talk through will be beneficial. Just so you know who's talking, my name is Gina Zaccanini. I'm one of the program coordinators at the Academic Success Center. And there's a handful of others there at the ASC too, but I'm happy to be here tonight. And so just show of hands, do we know of the ASC at least? Yeah, okay, perfect. That's wonderful. That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to see. Have we ever been to the Academic Success Center?
Not in a while.
Okay, but you've been in a little bit. You have? Okay, you have too? Okay, great. So more than, anyone else. Sometimes I talk to classes and it's just like crickets. So it's and so if you don't know where we're at, we are located in Wiley Residence Hall. So literally right next to the dining court, right across the street from COREC. We are open Monday through Thursday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and on Fridays from 8 to 5. And there's plenty of ways that you can get in contact with us, whether that is checking out our website, giving us a call at our office, sending us an email at academicsuccess@purdue.edu. We also have an Instagram. We do a lot of fun things on our Instagram. I think we're almost to something like that. So we're doing some cool things. I guess also shameless plug here too is we have birds nesting on my windowsill at work. Bird cams going on, guys. So you should definitely watch that. But we have 5 main services and resources. So I'm just going to talk through them like really quickly so we can really dive into the content about finals. So we have supplemental instruction or SI, we have peer success coaching, we have study skills consultation, accountability groups, and workshops. So these are all still relevant during finals week and into the summer, at least peer success coaching, the study skills consultations, and we're going to try some accountability group hours. So SI, it's that peer-led study group for some of the kind of highest drop withdrawal fail rate kind of courses, so your 100, 200 level courses. Peer success coaching and accountability groups are semester-long programs. So peer success coaching is that if you need somebody to kind of lean on, you need that academic advice as well, maybe that personal advice. I've worked next to a success coach. Because it's the end of the semester, we don't have that program open now, but the interest form is on our website if this is something that you're interested in for next semester. But we also are doing drop-in hours currently for the peer success coaching program. The study skills consultations, these are happening now and into the summer. This is a 45-minute meeting with a professional staff member at the ASC just to talk about kind of academic skills. So maybe finals didn't go too well and you are taking a summer course and you want to do a lot better in said course or another course or whatever, you need to adjust your studying a bit. That's kind of those consultations where you would take that question and we would try to find possible solutions for you that you can try. Accountability groups, again, this is a semester-long program. The form is closed, but again, that interest form is on the website for next semester. So this is that consistent, dedicated work study time throughout the week. So it's an hour and a half each week that you know for a fact you are meeting with the same group, the same facilitator, and you're able to just bring whatever work you want to do and just get it done. So that's what the accountability group is. And then workshops. Of course, this is an external form of the workshop. We also do internal workshops throughout the semester. We actually have one more, and I have it on the last slide. It's your POMO. It is next Wednesday from 7 to 11. It's kind of like a drop-in event where you can get all of your work done, your studying done, things like that, while utilizing the Pomodoro technique. So it's actually a really fun event. We have food and prizes and things like that. So any questions about any of the services or resources? Okay, yeah.
Right, Well, I've heard of some of these sources before. They never really explain how to utilize them.
Yeah, so the SI, for example, that's a great question. So SI, for example, if you're in a course that has an affiliated SI kind of linked to it, you can check out the website and see the schedule. Throughout the week, who the SI leader is, when their office hours are, because it is that group study session, but if you prefer an office hour type one-on-one interaction, they do that as well. So that's SI. Peer success coaching. Again, it's one of those things, typically for peer success coaching, we get a lot of like advisor recommended students who, should join the PSC program, things like that. But again, if you kind of find yourself, I always like to say, kind of caught between a rock and a hard place, just struggling academically, and then it's really affecting your like kind of personal and social professional kind of goals and skills and things like that. That's whenever I would recommend a PSC or joining the PSC program. And that's one thing too that you can also figure out in the study skills consultation too. For you, if you wanted more of a one-time thing, or if you wanted more of a semester-long program. Same thing with the accountability groups too. So I always say, if you have no idea what's going on, start with the study skills consultation, talk with a pro staff member at the ASC, and then from there, we're able to point you in the right direction. So did that answer your question?
A little bit,
Okay.
like just go to the ASC and ask someone at the desk, basically.
Somebody's always there. We also have our training student leaders. So our peer success coaches and our SI leaders are always there, having drop-in hours, office hours, as well as our student office ambassadors. And then we're always there too. So there's always somebody there. If you do come in, you just want to talk with someone, we always have someone to be able to do that for you. So any other follow-ups?
You think this was this was on your website or something?
Sorry?
Did you say like the forms for this were online?
It's on the website. So if you go to u.edu/ASC, all of that is kind of in different tabs. So you'll see like workshops tab, supplemental instruction tab, and so forth. All of that information is there. So, yep. Yeah.
I just want to speak on behalf of the website for a academic success center. I actually pull it up for my students and we go through it and it's very easy to navigate. Just like Gina's saying, like the tabs are right there and you can make appointments online, or it has that walk-in schedule available as well. So it's very user friendly.
Yeah, we definitely try our best. And then as we're moving from fall into kind of summer and summer into fall, we're definitely updating the website accordingly, especially if we're going to do like this virtual accountability group hours in the summer, as well as just kind of study skills consultations information too. So. All right, well, if there are no other questions, I'll keep going. So I always like to kind of talk about the objectives of this workshop so we kind of know what we're jumping into. And so big thing with this workshop, we're going to reflect on the semester and develop goals for finals. So that's part of the resource I'm going to hand out to you. Where and the what regarding finals. So that really relevant and important information. And then hopefully we'll have some time to take away from the CAPS time to create a single document. If anything, I'm going to talk through the document while you all are kind of looking through it, maybe start writing some stuff down in regards to kind of that pertinent information needed for finals week preparation. And so does everybody have like a phone or tablet or something like that? Or computer works fine too. Okay, so I have a Mentimeter and if you just go to menti.com and then you can look for the code. Let me know if there's a struggle with that. I was kind of having some, not issues this morning, but I had to change the code, so let me know. Are we having any success? Good. Okay, thank God. Okay, so I'm going to ask you in the Mentimeter, so you know, hopefully, does everybody have the code? Good to go? Okay. So these are the questions that I'm gonna ask you, actually, and it's all pertaining to relevant information needed for finals week, okay? So you'll see this on the Mentimeter, but I am hopefully. Okay, perfect. Let's do this. Apologize, I'm having technical difficulties. I think it's working now. So the first question I have for you is right after you were describing something that went well this semester. Where's the code changes? So we'll just pop in response. It's fine too. So working. The 1428. Yep. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay. Okay, so no late assignments. That's a good feeling. That's great. Making friends, extracurriculars. What kind of extracurriculars? Anybody in this room with that or? Yeah.
I actually. Sing on Saturday.
Good for you. Are you guys ready?
Yeah, I think so, maybe, if the park doesn't break between now and Saturday.
It'll be good. You need just like maybe 1 or 2 more test runs.
Yeah.
Call it a day. Well, good for you. That's exciting. Did well in my classes, independence, increasing confidence. That's wonderful. Civil engineering course. I know passing a CE course is amazing. It's always a good feeling. Was that anybody in this room too? Yeah,
Yeah, well, I was trying to say my first civil engineering.
good for you. Yeah, which one was it?
CE 292, I think.
Okay.
Surprisingly more words than math.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes you'll get that, but that's great though. So a lot of great things, right? We have a lot of great things that went well this semester, not just focusing on academics. A lot of personal growth, it sounds like too, making friends, things like that, on top of the academics, right? And so let's try the next one. Okay, so let's really get into it. Where's your favorite study location on campus or off campus? Doesn't matter. And I also understand too if you don't want to share, if it's a secret location, I guess. Was a popular one. Green space. Is that just like anywhere outside?
Outside,
Okay,
when the weather permits.
yeah, right. Storm, okay.
That's supposed to say nature.
Hey,
Forgot the E.
it works. It still works. Any other responses? PMU? Mine was always HISI, so the Humanities and Social Sciences Library. Some people know this, some people don't. There are levels to HISI library, and as you go up higher, they become like more like independent, like one person type rooms and stuff. So it's very quiet. You need that. I'm the type of person that needs that quiet study space, while maybe versus someone who likes the PMU. It's a little bit busier, it's a little bit louder, things like that. So of course, this is really kind of hitting on those preferences, right? Do we like a quieter space? Do we like a more kind of lively space, right? So just take that into consideration. It might seem crazy to talk about study space, but study space is really important about your preferences and how you are able to kind of focus and go about studying, right? Perfect. I'm gonna move to the next one. Okay, are you an early bird or a night owl? I'm for sure a night owl. I wish I was an early bird, especially working full time. It could be rough sometimes.
For me, being a night owl.
You're right. Oh, yeah. It depends. Depends. Anybody in the room? Yeah. Can you elaborate a little bit?
I like waking up early and I feel like I'm usually more productive. However, in the last few months, I've definitely chosen to stay up later rather than get up early.
I feel that. Yeah, it happens.
Just to
right?
get stuff done.
Hey, it makes sense. Sometimes you have to make those sacrifices from time to time of like, hey, I have a lot of work or I have a lot of studying to do. How can I break it up so I'm not pulling an all-nighter, but I'm able to, I might have to stay up a little bit later than what I normally do, but I'm still productive and getting some work done, right? And so why do you think I asked you if you're an early bird or a night owl? Yeah, it can be different depending upon your schedule, your preferences, again, really going, honing in on the preferences. If you know for a fact you're an early bird, why are you trying to schedule late at night when you know you're gonna be tired after dinner, you don't want to study, you're kind of just checked out and vice versa. For me, knowing that I'm a night owl, I'm sorry, my roommate in undergrad, she always wanted to wake up at 6 in the morning, go ahead, start finals week strong and start studying. It just wasn't me. She would have to leave without me, right? Because I that just wasn't me. I would stay up late. So that's why I asked you too. Again, preferences. Okay. What class do you feel the most confident in?
This question. Are we talking about the classes we're currently taking this semester? or-
Yes.
Okay.
Either 290. Is that
So
the
such a nice spring start.
spring start? Okay, very nice. So why do you think I asked you what's your most confident class?
Because it might be one that you aren't as anxious about if you ever find one in, or it might be something you might not have to like spend as much study time.
Perfect. Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head. So one, we want to also kind of boost ourselves up, right? Confidence wise, we know that there are some classes that we just feel a-okay about, right? So if we have finals, whether it's like an exam, a project, a paper, doesn't matter, we feel good about it, right? And then it leads you to the second point of if we feel good about it, maybe we can leave that to maybe the last day or 2 days of studying, right? Instead of having to kind of focus on it a whole lot. Right, yeah. And so just thinking about that, right? How are we going to go about planning our studying? Well, if we feel good about these classes, maybe we can wait a little bit later to sit down and try studying for them because we already feel good about them, right? Does that make sense? Moving on to the next one. I think there's 2 more. So let's talk about the least confident class. I always like these responses. Yeah, what stats?
Just really bad.
What stat number is it?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
61. That count 3?
Mhm.
Yep.
Pretty
Yep. Yep,
I'm
valid.
99% certain I'm gonna have to retake it.
That happened. But, if you have to retake it, then you know for a fact, what to expect and you know what you need to do better, moving forward. Yeah, so a lot of math, a lot of chem, a lot of calc, all that fun stuff. I tend to see a lot of chemistry or a lot of biology too. So kind of really those harder STEM courses that'll get you. But so why do you think I asked you about the least confident class?
Spend the most time on
Yeah, this is the one that you should really, when you're sitting down and you're kind of creating your study schedule, maybe we should focus on this a little bit more, right? We should go back a little bit more, kind of refresh our memory day to day when we sit down and study it. It doesn't mean that you're not good enough, right? Everybody's allowed to have a least confident class. I know mine was definitely Calc 2. Still can't tell you about the chain rule. I have no idea what's in there, why you have to use it 6 times. It makes no sense to me in organic chemistry, but I'm just, airing out some past grievances. So it happens. That just means that you need to practice a little bit more, right? And when we sit down and we really start going through our game plan here with this packet, we'll have that. We'll be able to see and create that schedule to be able to put this a little bit more, right? Or put that down a little bit more. Okay, let's talk about it. Self-care. Favorite self-care activity you can do in general. You can talk about it just during finals week, whatever you like to do. Star Wars, a sport. Walk my dogs. Yeah. Sitting on the floor. Laying on the floor. Amazing. I do that all the time. And my fiance is like, what's wrong with you? And I'm just like, I don't know. It just feels so much better, right?
More time.
Yeah. All the time. It just
Yeah,
feels so
I
better.
do it often and I don't think I want to.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, right.
let's just say I know how often I vacuum my floor.
That happens too. Yeah. I have 2 big dogs and they just kind of like crowd over me. and
That I
stuff.
don't have, thankfully.
I get that. So again, self-care.
It's not clean.
So again, during finals, it doesn't matter if it's finals week or not, we should always be taking care of ourselves. And typically whenever it comes to the college life and finals week, sometimes I always like to say people like to play the stress Olympics, right? Who can pull the most all-nighters? Who can do this, that, everything, and just totally stop taking care of ourselves, right? Whether it's sleep, whether it's actually making time in our schedule to be able to go ahead and do the stuff that we really, really like. So this is super important, right? Remember the stuff that you like. If you find yourself getting just too overwhelmed, maybe too tired while you're trying to sit down and study, take a break, especially that least confident class that we talked about. If you're stressing yourself out, that is your brain telling you to just take a chill pill, do some floor time, relax a little bit, and then hopefully kind of recoup, recenter yourself, and then get back to it when you feel up for it, right? And we'll also talk about that too. We'll see that in our planning here in the resource that I have for you. And then one goal you have for finals week. You can be real about this. I've seen a lot of responses. Yeah. Not fail, pass, move out. That is a lot. I'm trying to get through finals and moving out. I get it. That's at least 2 classes. That's so insane. Also fair. Hopefully CAPS will help you with that. Yeah, these are all great goals to have, right? And this is something to keep in mind too. I'm a big, advocate of write down those goals, put it somewhere that you will see it every single day, whether it's in a folder, your backpack, hang it in your bathroom. It doesn't matter, right? You have these goals for a reason. You need to kind of have those reminders every single day, right? You'll get through it. Sometimes this isn't your first rodeo. Is this anybody's first finals week? Is it your? Not really.
I know, it feels like it every time.
It feels like it every time because brand new classes, brand new kind of schedule, format of the exam, but you kind of know and expect what stressors are going to come with finals. So knowing that, how can we then, use our goals to also take care of ourselves and pass our exams too. So all great responses. Thank you all for participating. Sorry for the little problems that I had there in the beginning. So with all of that being said, I want to kind of rehash what we've done so far. So we've shown awareness, we've recognized our challenges, maybe considered some solutions like taking care of ourselves, our self-care stuff. We've identified our preferences, so whether we like to study in the morning, the night, things like that. And we were able to pinpoint our areas of confidence and concern. So now let's create our finals game plan. So as we go through this, I'm going to just talk about it. Feel free. You can start writing stuff down. If you have questions about it too, just let me know. For the people that are online,
I didn't end up having anybody sign in, but there might be people who watch the video after.
I was about to say, for the people who are accessing the video on or anything, they can always go to our website. It's the first thing on our handouts page. You can easily just download it. It's a fillable PDF, so you can download it to your computer, your tablet, whatever, and either write in it, things like that. Would you like to see one? Sure. Yes. And then, sorry, I'm slow with it, but I also got pencils too. Yeah. Would you like an ASC pencil?
Sure.
There you go. I'll take this. What's nice too is that they are number 2 pencils. So I always like to say if you're taking your exam and you kind of feel in distress, look at the pencils and you know who to call.
Question?
Yeah.
What kind of, what's the,
Lead size?
yeah,
0.7.
okay,
Yeah, it's 0.7 lead. It's number 2. So you can use it on scantrons and things like that.
cool.
See, we try to really focus in on the students here. So let's talk about it. So the first one, right, we need to set those objectives, right? We need to kind of really think about this information, what kind of material is being covered on the exam, the really pertinent information about the exam. What final is it? What class, right? That's step 1. What's going on there? A big thing, is it cumulative or not? Do we know what cumulative means, hopefully? So cumulative means, does it cover the entire semester?
Yeah.
Or is it just, kind of up to what you've done thus far
Okay.
in the course? What's the format of it, right? What's the date and the time of the final? And what's really nice too is that on the back of this handout are terms and guidelines for finals week. So if you don't know, certain terminology like grade cutoff or cumulative or things like that, as well as how to even find your final schedule, all of that information is here. Okay, so please utilize this resource. If you don't know, spread the word too if you have friends that don't know. So again, really important information. Also, like format, is it multiple choice? Is it short answer? Is it true and false? Things like that. A big thing too, your current grade in the class and what percent of the final counts towards that final grade. That's a big thing because sometimes final exams are a good chunk of the final grade. They could be 25%, 30%. I had a student in the last finals game plan presentation. His final was 40% of his grade. So sometimes it really is crucial, right? And you need to know that. I always find it really funny on our website around this time, we always see an uptick of the GPA calculator on our website. Yes, we do have a GPA calculator. So if you want to kind of grade and all that fun stuff, it's there. I always just like checking out those metrics. So really important information. And what material is covered, right? Again, that all depends whether it's cumulative or not. And we talked about that. So any questions about the kind of this first part? Knowing that information, kind of setting those objectives, really honing in on this pertinent information, just all about the finals. Good. Okay. Then being able to prioritize, right? So there's a lot of factors that we need to consider, such as that challenge level of the class, whether we feel confident in it or we don't feel confident in it. Also, again, that percentage of the final towards your current grade. Your knowledge or level, your knowledge level or the comfortability with the content or the type of final that it is. An exam versus a paper versus if it's a project or a paper, you can kind of break it up a little bit. Like, have you done this section and this section, or maybe do that these days and things like that, right? And so just really trying to prioritize what's going on as well as all the other things that are happening too. How can we kind of find that nice balance? The next thing is kind of creating that final schedule, creating that structure, right? Sometimes with finals week, because we don't have classes, our time is in a sense kind of free, even though we should be like, completing, studying, things like that. We need to find that balance and we need to find that structure. So we need to find a method that works for yourself, for us, and really think about, what date, what time, how do we want to go about building the schedule and planning out everything? So as we talked about setting goals, your study space is a strategy. And then, use both preparation and review strategies. So preparation strategies is, are you gonna make note cards to be able to understand certain terminology or whatever the case is, vocabulary? And then your review strategy is obviously going through and evaluating, can you remember some of this information too? Your preparation could be creating a practice exam from your notes from a chemistry course or something like that. And your review strategy is going ahead and actually taking that practice exam. Can you do it, or are you still questioning that, right? And so it's really, really important to find that good method for you and what works with that class too, that class content. So again, be specific, be more structured, right? Set specific goals. In calculus, and going back to it, I want to be able to understand and do the chain rule, and that is my goal for days 1 and 2. Right, to be able to understand it and then actually complete those problems with the chain rule. What is my strategy? Well, I'm going to start doing practice problems. I'm going to use the Boiler Exams website. I'm going to use, the many math or previous math exams that are on the math website. If you guys don't know about that, if you Google Purdue Math, they have exams dating back to 1992, something like that. So things obviously have changed. But there's a lot of great resources and information there to help with the preparation and review strategies. And if you have no idea where to go, how to do that, just completely lost, that's okay. That's why we're here, right? Any questions about this?
Kind of one.
Yeah.
When it comes to just studying and resources, something that's been as an issue for me this semester, and I kind of just filling this out, looked at the date and time of my calculus final. It's on a Tuesday, which means, I only have, the only weekday before that is Monday. So I feel like it's kind of I'm asking myself the question, and I also brought in this other question that I might ask. Resource availability before the exams based on just the weekend or dead week, because I know I'm the one who put up the physics help center is my favorite place to study because I'm in physics, so I can often ask someone there to help me out if I need help.
Right.
But I'm asking myself the question, they're TAs with their own finals. So when dead week comes along, I'm wondering, is that room, I imagine the room's still gonna be open, but none of the resources will be available because the TAs will probably be studying for their own finals?
They will be available actually. So those resources such as us, with our services and resources, the Women in Science and Engineering program, so WISP and WIP. You have the Physics Help Center, you have the Chemistry Resource Room, you have CoSign going on, which is the College of Science and Structural Nightly Enrichment program. All of that stuff is still happening. Their hours might change and shift depending upon, availability of their student leaders and whoever's working those resource rooms. The best thing that you can do, what I would advise you to do, is go to our website, and in the additional resources tab, you'll see like Purdue academic resources. You can click on that and we have all of their like websites and information linked there. So they should hopefully have updated information about what their finals week is going to look like. Sometimes those services and resources do have virtual kind of things too, even throughout the summer. So it just depends on what is happening. Obviously, I'm not 100% sure because I don't work there. But it's also another thing too, like if you check out our website, or if you want, I'll give you my contact information. I can always try and send you some info too about that if I find out anything. So great question though. Yeah. Any other questions? And then I forgot, I didn't give you one. Sorry if you wanted to look through it. Another thing too is on top of creating that structure and trying to find that happy medium, that balance throughout finals week, is really how the heck do we prioritize our time, right? So how can we really maximize our time to the full potential that we're not only taking care of ourselves, but we're actually studying and we're understanding the content. I really want to highlight all of these handouts. We have so many things on our website too that you can access, all fillable PDFs, whether it's something like really building out those calendar days, doing the block kind of scheduling. From this time to this time, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to study chemistry. This time to this time, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to study policy. And then I'm going to, dedicate an hour to kind of just reevaluating what I've done in chemistry and do the same for policy, right? That block schedule time. You can easily do that. You've been prioritizing your to-dos into that have to, must do, should do, right? And so just thinking about that, all of these resources are here. If you're looking at those resources on our website and you're just like, I don't know where to start, we're here. You know what I mean? You could always just walk into the ASC, you can call us, you can call us. You'll have my information at the end of this, so you can always just send me a direct email as well, and we can sit down and meet, right? And then also just, continuously asking yourself too, how are you going to prioritize your physical and your mental well-being? Because finals is a lot. Mentally, it's a lot that's going on. And then physically, you're sitting there, you're stressing yourself out. There are long hours of the day, maybe in the library, things like that. So maybe create that routine. Be sure to fit that into that schedule too, right? Think about your physical fitness and exercise. Practice that mind meditation. I love floor time. Do floor time. It's great, truly. And then just kind of have that outlet, right? Or that hobby or that self-care activity, which I'm sure Caps will definitely, talk about in the next presentation. But really just trying to prioritize that too. Being good with your academics and doing well academically. That's why we're here. We're Purdue. You're at Purdue. It's wonderful. We're really big on that. However, don't jeopardize yourself just to get an A on an exam, right? There's other ways around it. There are people here to help you, whether it's the resource room, the ASC, the VMSC, CAPS, doesn't matter. We're here. And we're here throughout the summer, okay? We're here. I'll be here all summer. If you need something, I'll be either virtual or in person, technically probably in person, but just remember that too. Like, you're not alone throughout this entire process, and there's plenty of time to still prepare and get yourself ready for finals. And so with the top left, or if we wanted to transition, I'm totally fine with what we want to do. If you haven't started working on it, like I would say definitely start taking a look at your final schedule if you haven't already, or kind of the material that will be on your final exams or projects and whatever. And then I could also take some questions too. Any questions, concerns, comments, anything? And if not, totally fine too.
Are your hours during the summer the same, like Monday through Friday?
Yeah, it's just Monday through Friday, 8 to.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't stay up until 8 p.m. Thank God. But we're open 8 to 5. So we're all like most of the time we're always on in person on campus. And then we have a bunch of graduate assistants working this summer. So there will be a lot of, appointment availabilities for study skills consultations if you need it. It doesn't matter if you're taking a class or not. You can always just schedule one. And they are scheduled through Boiler Connect. So if you have questions about Boiler Connect, or if you need help kind of trying to find that out or figure it out, I'm here too. I can totally help you with that. But great question. I'll also be here the whole time too. So if you think of something, do let me know. But I always like to kind of end with a positive thing, kind of that goal setting, right? So what is one today to start preparing for finals? And then this is my information. So I say definitely write that down. If you need it, feel free to write it down. Brian also has my information too, and he can always get that to you. And then a big thing too, if you have a lot to prepare for finals, I would recommend coming to this drop-in event, practice your POMO. It's fun. We have our workshop committee, they lead it. They have a lot of kind of fun activities during the breaks in between. Do we know what the Pomodoro technique is? Yeah, so we have some yeses, some nos. So the Pomodoro technique, it's just a study technique where you take 25 minutes, sit down, really focus, study, and then you take 5-10 minute breaks in between and you do it for like full circuit. And then in those breaks, again, we do fun things like we have, I don't know, they were really creative with it. They had trivia and they had Wordle and the New York Times mini crossword, things like that. So it is a really good time. There's a lot of good snacks, bring your friends, things like that. We say go ahead and register, but you can just drop in too. It's not a problem. So with all of that being said, that is what I have for you all. If you have any questions, comments, concerns about anything, I will be here the whole time. I will be willing to talk to anyone. And then if you want, I can transition it over. And then we can go from there. I'm good.
Cool.
Everybody have my information before I take it down?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
See what I want.
Instructions.
The two bullets in the middle. I saw grab a beer when I glanced at it real quick. So I know that's not what it said, but I looked, it was like, did that say grab a beer? Like, that is an amazing study technique. What was the fourth this?
Welcome to the Academic Success Center. That's one way to pull
I
college
just,
students
I
in
glanced at it real fast. I had to do a double take. Wait, what?
after hours.
This is
after hours.
awesome. Yeah. Where's it? Study points, Aries.
Yeah, we're keeping a few on like this about the being a beer and haven't done
Sure. Yeah.
my bad grade on beer. And I've done fairly well in some of them,
Thank you.
not so well in others, but it was not because of the beer or that part.
Don't really like to be front and center, but it's okay. Last time I sat over there, which was nice and comfy, but it's all right.
Feel free to sit.
It's okay.
As long as I get your slides up there for the video.
It's my dog.
That's a great attention getter. It was a fun experience. When I go to teach Green Zone workshop, one of the classrooms on campus, I plug my laptop in, present it on the screen. As soon as I do that, for whatever reason, it changes all of my display settings so that nothing works right when I get back to my desk and plug back into my monitor.
Actually, like, time I don't even know. So if we have somebody coming in and talking, I'm just like, I'm the worst person. So like, I like panic myself, and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. But it's like you literally have to like drag the screen over to the projector, and I was
Yeah.
like, it's not great.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's gonna want to come.
Pretty well. Guys, already, do you guys already have these? Do you want? Yeah. You already have one, right, basketball.
Got a total.
There you go. What was, that was a good one. This, whoops, I grade it. I'll send them, there you go.
That'd be perfect.
Okay, so, my name is Amanda. I'm one of the staff therapists, over at CAPS. CAPS stands for Counseling and Psychological Services. And so today I'm going to be just presenting alongside Gina here, with talking a little bit about stress. And I wanted to put thriving through the stress, right? So today what we're going to focus in on is just really like understanding stress, common symptoms, effects on our performance and health that it can have. We're going to define it and look at different types of stress. We're going to discuss and dialogue about test anxiety, or finals week, things like that, coping skills, with the ultimate goal of just maybe having some tools to reduce and manage the levels of stress and anxiety that are unhelpful. And please stop me if you guys have any questions. I'm going to try and make this also a little interactive like Gina's was, so we'll have a little bit of discussion time too. So we're going to first define stress, and I think like in general, this is like our dictionary definition, a natural physiological and psychological response to any change or demand that can cause physical, emotional, mental strain, right? So for y'all going into finals week, I would categorize that as a demand, right? Or like a change in our regular weekly schedule of class and, presentations. This is like a shift in some of that, and it's going to become a little bit more demanding for us. So we really identify this to be a subjective experience, because some people really appreciate multiple choice. Some people appreciate more taking an exam with like the narrative kind of, where you have to write in the answers. Some people like projects more for final, and so some of those things are not stressful to them. So when I was in my undergrad experience, like I hated multiple choice, but I could sure write an essay, right? And so multiple choice was really stressful for me. So we're going to recognize that stress can be a subjective experience. Our body definitely responds or reacts to a perceived threat. And I left that in there as a perceived threat. Do we see finals week as threatening sometimes? Depending on how, right?
Yeah, it depends on what your type of threats you're talking.
Exactly. Like, am I going to pass? I mean, we have students come in tears often, like, I don't think I'm going to pass this semester, or there's no way I'm going to pass these final exams. And that's very threatening for them, whether they're domestic or international students, it doesn't matter, so they're just really, it's threatening to think what's going to happen with my academic career, what's going to happen with my career in general. So it's kind of like a personal and maybe career type threat to them. But anyhow, sometimes it triggers that fight or flight, which we all know. That's our body's response, that influx of hormones and adrenaline that kick in. And we'll talk a little bit more about that too, when we have this perceived danger. And so our responses to this can be physical, cognitive, and behavioral. Excuse me, and again, we'll talk a little bit more in depth of those throughout our time together. So, has anyone experienced, if you feel comfortable to share, I don't have the fancy thing that Gina had. What was that called? The Mentimeter. That was so cute. So I don't have a Mentimeter, but has anyone experienced headache, upset tummy, sleep difficulties, muscle tension related to stress? I'll say yes for myself. Worry, overthinking, doubting self related to some stress, right? Even becoming irritable. I hear that one often too. Some of our students are saying like, I'm stressed.
What if irritable is your normal?
Well, now, that's a whole nother presentation. That's your number, that's your baseline, right? Yes. So these are some ways that we can respond to stress. And we'll talk a little bit more about those too. Okay, types of stress. We have eustress, which is positive stress that motivates. And I'm gonna show you a little, it's called a stress curve. And we'll talk about how eustress fits into that. And if you're wondering the origin of eustress, does anyone know? Do you know?
I should know because I.
Oh, okay. I just like looked it up. So I'm like, what, where does that come from? So EU is originated from the Greek language and it actually means good. Okay. So really this means good stress. So actually let's stop right here. What is that?
Euphoria.
Euphoria. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, thank you. What are some things that could be identified as positive stress that actually is motivating in your life? Yes.
I think some forms of excitement. Like under this, like if I know that I need to get some chores done in order to be able to good time later.
Uh-huh.
It's motivating me. I might have a short time frame that I need to get those
Sure.
done in, but I want to get them done and therefore I'll be.
So definitely motivating you, right? Could be some other positive stress, in general, positive stress.
It's accomplished. I'm just like piggybacking off what Emily said in terms of like have a good time kind of thing.
Sure.
I could be saying, oh, I'm close to getting done, so I'm gonna keep going. kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Another type of, like a positive stress, I'm gonna give you another example, is, getting a puppy. Okay.
So.
I don't agree with that.
I'm hearing you don't like the dogs, but I don't know. But you mentioned you had 2 dogs?
I do.
Okay.
I just grew up with them, so I'm
Okay.
just like going, I know how much work goes into them.
Yeah.
I would rather just, the positives don't outweigh the
Okay.
negatives for me.
So for
I
some,
don't judge people for others, but that's
Right.
just not me.
for some, getting a puppy can be a positive stressor because there is a lot that goes into it, but they bring so much joy and fun, to your life. Purchasing a house can be a positive stress. It's a big stressor, lots of papers to sign, things to go through, forms to submit, but it's something that's exciting and motivates us. Anyone else can think of a positive stressor, maybe in academia?
I'm working on my pilot's license, so that was like really motivating, but it's obviously.
Yes. Okay. Perfect.
I want to get my degree.
Is that?
I want to get my degree.
Yes.
I have to stay here.
Exactly.
Only 2 that I could think of that recently that happened to me was one today I had like physics homework to get done. And I have a certain unwritten rule that if I get 70% of it done, that's good enough.
Yeah. Okay.
But I actually managed to get it all done.
Okay. Good.
And the only one other thing that was like more recent was the first thing that popped into my mind. This has nothing to do with academics.
Okay.
Doing my taxes before they were done. And
There you go. Yeah.
I don't know, when you were just saying like this whole thing, get it done kind of thing,
Yeah.
the first thing that popped into my mind was the weekend before they were due and I got it all done and got like a $200 refund.
Nice, nice.
That covered mine.
Yeah. Another positive stress that I've been hearing the last few weeks is those individuals that are graduating. So that's like super exciting, very wonderful, but there's a lot of stress. There are stressors that go along with that. Are you saying that? Or
It just-
Adulting is coming.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
you know, so just, but yeah, we're definitely seeing a lot of students of like, especially if they're coming to us with advising questions, we're just like, oh, we're not the advisor, but we can get in contact with you.
Right, right. So great. And then we have to also go to another type of stress, which is distress, right? So it's negative stress that in general, and simplistically just is overwhelming. And I'm sure, you know, we can come up with a lot of those negative stressors that feel overwhelming. Anyone want to share one stressor that feels overwhelming currently? Yes.
Being put on academic dismissal if I don't pass.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, that's very distressful and overwhelming.
VA being late on a payment.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Can I say a second one?
Yeah.
How to put this? Having to reconsider your life goals.
Sure. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Yes, so another type of stress here, we're gonna identify is can be acute and or chronic. So we have short-term and long-term. What are some stressors you can identify that might be a short-term or a long-term stressor?
Packing up I'm going to pack up my dorm, so I got a lot to do and
Uh-huh.
just pack it all in my car alone, so that's all.
Yeah. Yep. And that's short-term. Mhm. Think of,
Unhelpful group project teammates.
okay,
So true.
yeah. Yeah. You know, and the reason why we're, you know, just identifying at least these 4 types of stress, you know, I think what I'm hopeful for you guys is to just have an increase in self-awareness of, you know, is this a stress? Am I in a place of stress that I can also see is motivating me to do something else or to seek help or, you know, or is this a chronic long-term type of stressor that I know I need to put in other supports in my life to help me, you know, kind of get through this? Can I identify it as acute and just remind myself, okay, once I get everything boxed up and moved out, I can breathe, right? Something like that. And so this next slide here is what we're calling yes, thank you, the stress curve. Does this have a pointer on it?
It should, that red. They're.
Oh, yes, I got it. Thank you. Okay.
I won't work on the TV screen.
Oh.
That's not super helpful, but
Okay. That's all right. I can use the mouse here. Okay, so I really like this diagram because it's showing, whoops, back. Here, when we have low stress, we're kind of right here in this green area. We feel maybe inactive, we just feel content, we're breathing easy. There's not really much motivation to get things done because, well, we're maybe stress-free a little bit. And then as you can see, once we can kind of move up here on the curve, there begins to become a healthy tension. And I think in our academic careers, well, maybe let me ask you this. At what point do you feel might be a healthy tension with your academics? Okay, perfect. Mm-hmm.
Getting work done even though it's not due for like another day or two.
Yeah.
So just like getting ahead of it before it becomes an issue.
Perfect. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so here there is, I like how this identifies there's increased attention and interest, like, okay, I know I have these things to get done. And we're keeping it on the, in our mind, and working towards completion. However, as stress kind of rises up here in the curve, we feel maybe a little bit more energized because maybe there becomes more demands, right? And so we find ourselves more up here. And this would be, like it says, it's a healthy kind of focus. Down here, it's calling it more optimum. Like we're really getting things done. Okay, like we're sitting down, checking things off, and turning things in. And so that feels good. However, when stress continues to increase and it's left unattended, we can start feeling things like overload. And we feel it in our body, we feel it in our mind. And when I did the presentation on combating burnout, I was talking about the word toasty. Like we become kind of toasty, right? We're not yet to burnout, but we're like in the toaster. And so I would say that's where this is at here. And if we don't pay attention to that, we slide right into here, into the threat, the perceived threat. Anxiety, here's burnout and breakdown. But again, here we're even seeing the excessive demand or stress. So where in your academic semester might you start to feel overload, exhaustion, or fatigue, or a demand, like an increase in demands or stress?
Finals week.
Definitely finals week.
Yeah.
Mhm. Which one? Quiet week, yep.
The week before
Dead
spring
week.
break,
The week before spring break.
when all the professors want everything due before you take off.
Ah, yes,
Oh, yeah.
that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
Panic.
Yeah, that's very true. Okay. And so again, if we're not attentive or paying, attention to our symptoms, we can surely kind of head here to the burnout and then sometimes breakdown. And it's fine, in the sense at CAPS, this is sometimes where we see our clients, lots of tears, lots of fears. We're not thinking straight because that, those hormones have kicked in, the fight or flight, the adrenaline, and we're feeling very panicky and our body is telling us like, I'm going to shut down, I'm going to break down. Okay. So definitely you can come at any time to see us at CAPS, even if you're inactive. But typically we don't have clients come when they're inactive or bored. But typically, maybe proactively you can come here, or if you're seeing some of these things happen here in this color, come on over to CAPS and we'll talk more about what we can help you with. Sometimes when we have stress, we can fall into this cycle of avoidance. And this is what that can look like. We have a trigger, finals week, the week before spring break, and it's triggered stress. Okay, so we're starting to feel it. And when we don't know what to do with that, sometimes we avoid. Can anyone tell me an avoidance behavior that might happen when feeling overwhelmed? Yes.
I kind of experience, like, I'll sit down to study. I'm like, it's okay, I'll be fine on the exam. And then right before the exam, I get the anxiety again. Like
Okay.
that in study.
Another one we hear of regarding avoidance behaviors is, I'm just going to take a nap. And I ask, how long is your nap? Talking about like a 20-minute nap, a 2-hour nap, or even a lengthier nap, right? I don't know what the real definition of a nap is, but it's certainly, I don't believe like 4 or 5 hours, okay? But that can be an avoidant behavior. What happens is there actually might be some short-term relief, right? Because we got to escape and we didn't have to really hit it head on. We kind of looked at it. We said, nah, let me put it away. And so we might have some short-term relief, but in the long run, the anxiety is actually reinforced, okay? Because we have to wake up from our nap and our trigger of stress or anxiety is still there. We procrastinate to the end, right? Which means we put it off, which was a short-term relief. But in the end, we're like, what date is it? Oh my goodness, like it's now or never, right? And so that anxiety is reinforced and sometimes increased. So I just put this next slide here. Problem? No problem. Okay. Sometimes we also even do the ostrich method, you know, where we stick our head in the sand, which again, I also looked up like the reason why ostriches put their head in the sand. Do you guys know why? It's not really because they're afraid or they're hiding. Yeah. It actually is because they have buried like eggs in there, like their eggs, and like I don't know, I think they said they're checking in on their eggs. I'm not even making that up. but it definitely isn't for fear. So okay. So surrounding test anxiety. We have, these are not all, but some. Sometimes we can feel inability to concentrate, fear, the physical symptoms like feeling faint, fast or shallow breathing, headaches. What about feelings of the impending doom before the exam, right? Sometimes that one. And so here you're going to find basically the ones that we talked about, the responses, physical, cognitive, behavioral, surrounding test anxiety. We have anticipatory anxiety. We just said feeling dread, excessive worry. Is it normal to worry prior to a test?
Yes.
Yeah, that's normal. And I'm going to say that is healthy stress because it actually activates some of those, again, the cortisol kind of makes us feel like, okay, I have something to do and I need to do it. So it's actually okay to have some worry, concern, that's all right. But anticipatory anxiety can create the avoidance of studying, like you mentioned, right? Or the procrastination. We start struggling to focus when we're studying. We hear that a lot at CAPS too. I can't focus, I can't concentrate. Everything, my mind goes blank when I try and study. And even those thoughts of failure. It's just not going to happen, right? Situational anxiety is going to look something like this. Occurring during the test taking. We may have that fight, flight, or freeze response during the test. Does anyone experience that or feel like, I mean, if you feel comfortable to say, where we're in a test and we freeze, we know, we've studied, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, like, everything just doesn't make sense to us, even though we've studied. I'm telling you, like, these are kind of the things that we see in CAPS, the students that come say, what is going on? Our mind goes blank, can't remember what you studied, and then the physical symptoms. And negative self-talk. Okay. So before I go on to the next slide, what are some of your thoughts just in general about anxiety prior to finals week or midterms, exams? Are these things that you feel like you hear your friends talking about or peers, like physically, emotionally, mentally? Are you guys hearing these from some of your peers or yourself?
I would say yes, but I don't know a lot of my peers.
Okay.
It's just
Me personally, right before an exam, I'll get like really nervous and kind of like forget everything. So I really relate to the like racing heartbeat and
yeah. I mean,
Forget.
as far as me personally, I definitely had that whole mind goes blank thing.
Mm-hmm.
Recently had it this week on a quiz. It's like, even though, yes, I looked over the material all day before it, but I sit down to do it and I start doing it and I'm like going, okay, I know they talked about this, but I can't remember any of the details. So it's just,
Mm-hmm. That can be really frustrating, right? And then we do go into the negative self-talk. We're going to talk a little bit about how to manage these things, or at least reduce some of the intensity, right? Of test anxiety or stress. So the first one we're talking about, and I'm going to say this very slowly because it's a big word. It's diaphragmatic breathing. And you don't have to repeat that if you know it. Diaphragmatic breathing. Okay. So, and I have a handout for you guys also on just deep breathing. Does anyone practice regular deep breathing? Okay. And the reason why I ask that is because sometimes we do deep breathing, but we don't often practice it. And I can't tell you how healthy it is for you to regularly practice deep breathing. And the reason why I say that too is sometimes we'll have students come in and they'll say, I was trying to deep breathe and it didn't work. And then I ask them, do you do this on the regular? And they say no. And what happens is you have not conditioned your body to the response of diaphragmatic breathing. Like it's just not accustomed or conditioned to it. So in that heightened moment, your body's just like, this is not working. I don't care about this thing. I need some other quick relief. However, if you conditioned your body to breathe correctly, I think it comes a little bit more like naturally when you have practiced it. So even mentally and then physically, your body can kind of like ease into it a little bit more organically, if you will. So there are steps to do this. And I'm going to encourage you to feel comfortable to kind of just try along with me. But what we're looking at to do, and as you'll see from this young man here, he is inhaling. And as he is inhaling, well, first, excuse me, let me back it up. We're going to find a comfortable position. We're either going to have floor time, lying down, wherever you can sit. I often recommend with your shoulders back, whatever's comfortable to you. You can even stand. To just know if you're doing it correctly, like if you place your one hand on your chest and then the other one on your abdomen, you're going to feel what's going to happen as you breathe correctly. So you're going to inhale through your nose, and it almost feels like it's not supposed to work that way, but you inhale through your nose and you're going to feel your belly or your abdomen. Okay. Let me get this right. It's going to come out. Okay. So you breathe in and your belly is going to expand. And when you breathe out through your mouth, your belly is going to go in. Can you see it on the man here? So you breathe in through your nose and your belly comes out. You exhale. He actually is exhaling through his nose. But normally we teach to exhale through your mouth and then your belly goes in. Is that how you breathe? I'm sorry. I mean, deep breathe. Okay. What we don't want to do, and that's fine, is slowly breathe through your mouth. Okay. What happens when we're breathing just through our mouth? That's very true. What else happens when we're just breathing through our mouth? Shallow breathing. And we're not really filling up our lungs. We're just doing, and what you're gonna see is the chest moving a lot. The other day I came across someone who, I was on a walk during my lunch break and there was a student having a panic attack, okay? And so I went over to the student and the student was breathing only with their mouth and the chest was rising up and down. And so I walked the student through breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth, and it was super evident that they were able to calm, themselves down. And we worked through the rest of that. But this is one of the first things I want to really encourage for stress reduction or management, I should say, is learn how to deep breathe. Okay. So whether you do the diaphragmatic breathing, or I have one here that talks about inhaling on the fours, inhaling for 4, exhaling for 4. And we're breathing slowly. We're not breathing rapidly, and you should really feel something in your body happening. Honestly, the oxygen also is going to flow a lot better. And the reason why people, again, pass out when they have panic attacks is because there's no oxygen to their brain. And the way that they're breathing is how? Through their throat and their mouth. So please remember that, pass it along, okay? Because that can be very helpful. Okay, so we're also going to practice mindfulness, just like Gina mentioned, coping skills like a mindfulness technique. Mindfulness technique can be a coping strategy. So does anyone know what mindfulness is? Yes.
What's going on? You're like presenting yourself, I guess.
Mm-hmm. What are you gonna say over here?
Um,
That? Mhm.
I was trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Sure. Mm-hmm. Anyone else? So mindfulness is really tapping into your senses. Okay. So I love this picture. I'm going nuts over the trees right now. Okay. All the colors. I am just going wild. And my office is on the 3rd floor of Push. And so I can see out to the trees. They're pink, purple, white, green. I'm just going bonkers because they're so beautiful. But let's take some time to be mindful about this. Now, we can't smell or hear anything going on right now. But if we were to truly slow down and take a moment to look at this photo, what are some details that you see? There's a student in the photo. Mm-hmm.
I think there's 2, one in the far background.
Yep, I see it that one.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Sky.
a blue sky.
Very sunny out.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like fresh mulch around.
Yep.
Several bikes or scooters
Mm-hmm.
in the picture.
What other details can we see? Uh-huh. Vibrant colors.
Yeah.
What do you notice about the tree?
It's a red bud.
It's a what?
Red bud.
Is that what it is? Yeah. So how do we bring this around? Like, what is the point of this mindfulness activity? How does it even relate to stress reduction? When we're talking about finals and quiet week and all that, like looking even at this photo, not being outside, imagine you were outside, what kinds of things you would hear, okay? We'd hear steps from these students walking by. We might hear people parking their bikes and scooters. We might smell that fresh mulch. We might feel the warmth of the sun on our body. We might not taste anything, so we might, that sense might not be like invigorated or anything. But how can that really promote a reduction in stress?
To realize where you are, everything going on.
Yeah. Anyone else? What does this do for our body when we can slow down and be mindful?
I'm gonna say it's tranquil, if that's the right word to use.
Yeah, yeah, I would use that word. Mhm.
Brings you more to like your physical senses rather than all the stress you create in your mind.
Yep.
It's more physical.
Mhm. Tina?
Yeah, I was just gonna say it helps you kind of recenter yourself and kind of like refocus of finals week is just a few days, I can get through it, or
Mhm.
you know, life is still happening. I still just gotta do the day-to-day tasks and it's possible. You
Yep.
know, just that's what I always like to tell students is just recenter yourself, you know, get yourself together
Right.
and, you know, tackle everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm gonna say this even can work with a photo. So even a favorite photo of yours that you have on your phone, take that photo and really dissect it and really look at the details and really appreciate that and allow it to kind of calm your breathing down, to clear your mind. Go outside now, or look outside. Like I don't always try to get outside my office during the day, but if I don't, I take a moment to look outside my office window and I'm looking at all these vibrant colors and I'm seeing the students walk by. And that is something that, can help lower some of my stress, or just regulate, I think, like my breathing. And mindfulness can be, I'm going to pass this note too. Can be anything like on here. It talks about mindful eating. So how many of us are stuck in a rush that we're like gobbling down our food, right? There you go. We're just gobbling it down, trying to get a quick bite to eat. But what would happen if we, slowed it down and we're just like, whatever, we like to eat this turkey sandwich, like how does it feel as we're like taking that bite? What does it smell like? What does it feel like in our hands? And I know it might sound silly, like who has time to do that or why would we do that? But again, it's just slowing, I think, our body down, our thoughts down, just to be in that moment. When you guys have so much to do and it's rush, 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 task, 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 study, all these demands coming at you, take 5 minutes and be mindful of that turkey sandwich. Just try it. It's amazing, like what will happen, and maybe what you notice about your turkey sandwich. What kind of flavors are on there? Is it peppered turkey, honey turkey, whatever it is, right? And so that I really appreciate true mindfulness exercises. So I hope you guys will take some time and practice some of these things. Okay. So this strategies is it's kind of an overview of basically like what we are talking about. But this one definitely goes along with what Gina was presenting. Preparation. Let's not wait till the last minute. Just let's not. Sometimes we're procrastinators, and whenever I have a client that comes in and shares with me that they're a procrastinator, honestly, I ask them, how is it working for you? For some of them, it actually works well because they just work well under that kind of stress, right? It's motivating, they get it done, they pump it out. Their comprehension is heightened when they procrastinate. For others, not so much. It's problematic. Okay. So know that about self, but I don't think it hurts to just start early. Okay. ASC has obviously presented effective study techniques. Okay. A ton. I'm just really a fan of the academic success center. I was telling Gina, like once I found this resource out, I was like, I'm telling all the students about this. And the reason why is because they come to CAPS heightened anxiety, heightened stress about academics. And we can help them certainly with mental health anxiety. But if there's this resource on campus that can help them practically with these things, I'm going to direct them, to the Academic Success Center. I'm going to direct them to the DRC or whatever it is, right? And so they really help with these kind of practice tests. And again, to seek help prior to that stress curve, being in the red, in that panic mode, right? We just talked about relaxation techniques like deep breathing, mindfulness exercise. I knew I wasn't going to have time to do both progressive relaxation, and visualization. But those, if you even just Google it online, those are really nice too. I don't know if you guys have done any progressive muscle relaxations. Those are really great. From the top of your head to the bottom of your feet, you just really kind of go through every muscle. And usually they're guided kind of things that you can do to it helps you relax each one of those muscles. Usually there's even apps that can help you walk you through that. You can find it on YouTube that can help you walk through muscle relaxation, progressive PMR, basically. And then visualization, that's another fun exercise, relaxing exercise to do, where you really take yourself to a place that just feels very calming. So that's a strategy as well. Self-care and positive mindset. A few years ago, I don't know how many, I don't know. I feel like there was this time where it was like individuals were very coming out a lot with just positive, they call it positive psychology. And there is something to be said about having a positive mindset. And sometimes we struggle to be positive about things, but when we tell ourselves, I can't do it, how does that make you feel? Do we feel encouraged? Okay. When we say, I'm going to fail, I'm not going to pass, these are not things that are promoting a positive mindset or even just a can do, right? So we'll talk a little bit about that, but sleep, nutrition. Okay, here, positive self-talk. Sleep is actually one of those things that we ask our students when we meet with them about how many hours of sleep do you get per night. Do you mind sharing?
Well,
Not to be
normally,
yeah.
I probably get like 8 or 9.
Okay.
I try. Last night I probably got like 10 or 11 because I
Okay.
slept in.
Brian, can I put you on the spot?
I'm almost 7 hours on the dot, regardless of what time I go to bed.
Okay.
So if I'm tired and I go to bed early, I'm going to wake up early.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
It's just the way my clock ends up working.
Okay.
If I go to bed at 8 o'clock tonight, 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm gonna wake up and I'm awake.
Okay.
I'm one of those early birds. I wake up,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I guess 3 o'clock's the time we're getting this day started. Let's
Nice.
go. I hate it. Some days I wanna sleep in so bad and I just can't. I
Yeah.
just wake up with my brain running. It's like, oh, well, I'm done.
Yeah. You know about how many hours of sleep you get per night?
I try to get at least 7, but literally I just started wearing this thing to sleep, so it records it.
Yes.
And it keeps telling me I get more like 5.5 to sleep.
Interesting. Yeah.
It also says I wake up multiple times in the night. Well,
Okay.
I can understand that because I definitely had those moments of like, oh, I wake up, I look at the clock, it's 1, and I go back to sleep. So
Yeah.
apparently you almost I
Right.
don't even remember it.
Right.
It's like,
But still, at the same time, it's like
7,
recording this as I was awake. So it's like
Yes.
I spent during this time I said for sleeping, I was
There's
awake for 18 minutes in total.
Okay, I see. Yes.
So I question its accuracy, but
Sure. Have you been wearing it for a week at least, or?
yeah, about 10 days now.
Okay,
So yeah,
interesting. Yeah,
like I said, it's a very recent.
sure.
development,
Yes.
So
Mhm.
started doing
Yeah.
it. So I've seen a little bit more.
Sure. What about you, Gina?
Say a solid 6 hours.
Okay.
6 to 9.
Yeah. Questions we ask with sleep, I usually will ask, is that enough for you? Do you feel that right? No. Is it, it seems like 7 is enough for you.
Whether I like it or not.
Exactly, yeah. And another thing that we can run into is we can sleep for this 6 to 9 hours. But is it restorative sleep, you know, or is our sleep disrupted by whatever it is, a busy mind, the stress, and so that matters too, okay? The quality of sleep that you're getting. Health and nutrition, you know, how are we nourishing our bodies especially during these stressful times? That's important as well, and hydrating, physical activity. So whether that's going for walks, swimming, working out, what other physical activities, playing outdoor games, playing with our dogs, or any other physical activities you guys engage in that kind of get the heart rate going, or pickleball, is it? Okay.
I try to go to the gym every other day.
Going to the gym,
I haven't for the last few days, but that's because I was sick, so
sure, yeah,
didn't feel like doing anything.
yeah. And again, and prioritizing physical activity, like with the healthy mindset, you know, and realizing the impact that it has on reducing our stress and anxiety. That's why we're doing it. So it doesn't have to be like, I need, you know, to get the muscles or lose the weight. It's really just about conditioning our bodies, and having a healthy outlet. And then that positive self-talk that we, you know, if you need to like write positive notes to yourself and stick them to your mirror, put them in your phone, do that, you know, whatever it takes to kind of encourage self, and embrace mistakes. Easy, hard to do. Embracing mistakes. Yes.
Depends, yeah, you're gonna have to define that.
Yeah.
Saying I made mistakes, so I'll learn from it, or calling myself an idiot for the mistake. I mean, I can do either or, honestly.
Maybe growing from like yeah.
I would say like that fixed versus growth mindset, you know, so like having that fixed mindset of I don't understand calculus, or like I'm not good enough, like I'm not gonna pass this class, versus the growth mindset of okay, I made those mistakes, I don't understand this, but I'm going to understand it, right? And so trying to embrace it in that way, that's how I would kind of interpret that, embracing mistakes, like learn from it, you know, grow from it, right? So
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. And then even some strategies for during the test. Do you do testing strategies at Academic Success Center?
we do, yeah, we talk a lot, or we have a lot of students that do come to us about test anxiety, kind of things that you can do way before, right before, during, and then even after
Okay,
the
perfect.
exam. But when it's really bad, we end up sending them to.
Okay.
to you know, you guys are the experts, you know, we can only say so much, and a lot of that too comes down to the preparation, right? The time that you really dedicate to, you know, hopefully trying to understand and be able to really know the content, but it's also those mindfulness, right? As you talked about, like taking care of yourself, getting that, you know, I said it before, it's not the stress Olympics. Like you're not going to win a gold medal if you don't get sleep for 2 days, right? You're only hurting yourself. So how can you better kind of prepare and strategize and plan, so you aren't feeling this way during the test. And then even during the test, again, we always like to say recentering yourself, kind of focusing of this is my test. I'm going to take it. I studied. I know the content. You know, and just really focusing in on yourself and not everybody else around you.
Yeah.
Right.
That certainly is that positive mindset, even staying in your lane too. Like we're not, you know, like we refrain from comparing ourselves to others. You know, just hone in really where you're at in your lane. I was gonna say, I just want to mention something about what Gina was saying. When she refers students to CAPS, sometimes there are other things going on that are interrupting our ability to focus and study for exams. Okay, so sometimes we have social stressors, family stressors, or relationship things. Anxiety and depression can complicate maybe our ability to hone in on these things. So be mindful of that. I know, the Academic Success Center is, and that's definitely when they are passing, kind of referring over to CAPS, because that can interrupt too how well we're able to really prepare and study. So for the exams. So yeah, these are just some, quick kind of tips for during the test. Read these things carefully, slow down. If we practiced our deep breathing, we're breathing well during the test. I used to always start with the easy questions because, again, as I already mentioned, I did not like multiple choice. And so I actually would start at the back of the test and then kind of do that. And I would look for the easy ones that I just knew I can mark off and answer. And then I would go back through it again. Take breaks if you can, depending on what kind of test it is. And refrain from panicking. Like, let's just not panic. Let's slow it down and talk ourselves through it. So I like this little visual here. I know there's a lot going on. Just a little thing up here. But again, it's really a lot of what we talked about. So general strategies, I'll walk you through it. Before an exam, review and learn from past performances, take practice exams, prioritize sleep, maintain regular exercise and a balanced diet, strategies during the exam, focusing on the present. This one is very true. Prepare for some anxiety. Remember, and this is what I tell a lot of my clients, it's not about having zero anxiety or stress, but it's about how to manage it while it's happening. Okay. And we're reducing it, but even preparing, like, okay, I have, I'm going to feel something in my body while I'm taking the test. That's okay. Positive self-talk, slow down and read the directions carefully, and don't panic, right? When you see the students start to finish before you, does that still happen nowadays? Like, they're done and I'm not done yet, right? Okay. Then over here, I like this. It's even 1 week before. Again, you guys have quiet week. What's happening during quiet week? Are we prioritizing preparing for our finals, making a routine? 1 day before and the day of, view the exam as an opportunity to prove how hard you've worked, right? We're not cramming. Avoid speaking with people who will be negative. Does that happen sometimes? Maybe. Do you hear that there, Gina, at the Academic Success Center? People, yeah. Getting a good night's sleep, etc. And then even after the exam, reward yourself. Be proud of yourself. Make a plan for improvement if you need. Be gentle and kind to yourself. Go get like your favorite soda to drink or Starbucks or whatever, This one here, I'm not going to go in over detail. It's very tiny, but I wanted you guys to have this information on sleep hygiene, going back to that, getting up, going to bed and getting up at the same time every day if possible, avoiding caffeine, nicotine, alcohol, prior to. Use your bed for sleeping. And I know that's really hard because a lot of us study in our bed. We're on our laptop, in our bed, etc. But try and use it just for sleeping. And then put yourself on an electronics curfew if possible. Have a great space in your bed that's comfortable. Naps, I already mentioned about napping. So avoid long naps. Have a sleep routine or sleep hygiene. Well, that's the sleep hygiene, like a ritual before bed, no clock watching, and trying to keep your daytime routine the same. Okay. And then just be encouraged. I put some little encouraging things. Well, this one says, keep calm. It's time for finals. Treat yourself with kindness. I just wanted to encourage you guys, be gentle to yourself, reach out for help if you need.
That's like that.
Okay.
Yeah, encouragement. So you guys got this. So I don't know if you guys have any questions or comments. Again, I'm over at CAPS. We're there Monday through Friday. We have Stress Busters coming out. We'll be at Walk, like across from Walk with popcorn, popsicle. We collaborate with the library, so the library will have goodies out there as well, and that's during finals week. I think it's like Monday, Tuesday, Thursday that will be out there. So just stop by, grab some goodies. So, any questions?
I'm saying yes, but I can't remember.
That's okay. Yeah, certainly reach out, if you do, we can totally help you through those, but yeah, that's it for now, Brian.
Awesome. Thank you both so much for your
Yeah,
presentation
you're
today.
very welcome.
Really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, you're welcome. You guys have a great rest of your weeks.
You guys got it.
Yeah. Yeah.